Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day.
Hi, my name's Lisa. Welcome to my channel. I chat about living in the Zambian bush, basic camp living. Here's my tent. I talk about volunteering, travel, working on conservation, working with research, researching elephant behavior. If that's something that you're interested in, please click subscribe and click on that notification bell below. Today I'm going to talk about my job role. My official role is head of research, and that spans quite a lot of different types of research, but I'm actually an ethologist at heart. Since I changed my bio on my Instagram, a lot of people have asked me, what's an ethologist? Did you mean to write ecologist? Ethologist? Elephant ethologist? What's that? So I just wanted to do kind of a video to introduce what my actual job is, because people do seem quite confused about that. I'm imagining what they think I do all day with elephants. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to chat about what is an ethologist, and if there's anyone out there that is thinking of pursuing this as a career or didn't even know that it was a career option, maybe this will help you. So let's get into it. First of all, what is ethology? The process of interviewing an animal using its own language. Ethology is found within the discipline of zoology. So zoology is a very broad term of studying animals, and you're looking at things like biology, genetics, anatomy, conservation, physiology. No, I'm forgetting some things here, and then animal behavior. And animal behavior can be split into kind of two main jobs. Those are behaviorists and ethologists. Behaviorists are more interested in what animals can do. It's kind of applied animal behavior. So you're really looking into things like training. You're trying to elicit a specific response in an animal, or maybe stopping an undesirable behavior. So I'm thinking about training dogs, and the first person that springs to mind is Cesar Millan because of the Dog Whisperer show. And I'm sure there are probably better examples of dog trainers or behaviorists out there with other animals. If you want to enlighten me with any better ones, then please comment below. Basically, kind of training animals is more hands-on. You're often creating a bond with an animal. Ethologists are more concerned with animals in their natural setting. So it's observing their natural behavior in an objective and a scientific way. So we're not trying to influence the animal's behavior in any way. We're just trying to understand certain aspects about the behavior by observing them in their natural state. Looking for patterns in behavior and attempting to understand the reasons behind them. An example of a famous ethologist is Jane Goodall, who spent decades in forests in Tanzania studying chimpanzees. Within my field, Cynthia Moss, Phyllis Lee, Joyce Paul, and I feel like I have their papers and books kind of scattered all in my on my desk in my tent, kind of all around the place. They would be my kind of career field heroes, I guess. So what do ethologists do? We spend long hours observing animal behavior. Animals have certain behaviors that can be studied, so behaviors around their social lives, such as play, or their development, their aggression, behaviors related to reproduction, learning, mating, raising their young, intelligence, hunting, defense. There's a lot of areas that can be scientifically studied. We input that data, we analyze it, we write it up in scientific reports, we speak about it, we talk to our peers as well as people outside of the field, the general public, children, students, we supervise volunteers. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I guess it depends on who you're working for. I'm speaking from an ethologist working in an NGO environment, which means I get involved in quite a lot of things, but I think all ethologists would have to communicate their research to people. They would have to raise funds for the research, whether that's through talks or through investors or donors visiting them and them explaining their work to them, writing grant proposals. It's actually quite broad. Like, people, I think, just think of you being in the field and watching the animal, and they don't necessarily think of all the other things that lead you up to that or that you do with that data after you collect it. Ethology is a rapidly growing field. There are other subsets of it, so neuroethology, conservation behavior. And conservation behavior, I might actually do another video about this at some point, because it's something that I strongly believe in, that how you can use the knowledge of animal behavior to really help conserve the species. So I'm in my tent at the moment, and I just wanted to remind myself to say that behavior is so important for conservation, because adapting an animal's behavior is its first line of defense against a changing environment. And that's what conservation is. Like, animals are struggling because their environment is changing so much. There's human encroachment, there's poachers. Basically, their behavior is the first thing that will change, that will help them survive. So behavior is critical to conservation. Like I said, I will do another video about this, but I just wanted to really hit home with how much behavior is important. It's not just, oh, this animal's doing something really cool, really interesting. No, it's more than that. So yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that. So ethology is a scientific field that does require an advanced degree. You can definitely get your foot in the door with a BSc, and I know many people working in conservation in research with a BSc, but if you want to be managing your own research or running a department one day, you really kind of need to think about doing an advanced degree. I graduated from my master's in 2010. This year I'm hoping to do my PhD. So like I think I might be a little bit behind a lot of people I know that have gone straight from their master's to their PhD and then career in the field. I've kind of done it a little bit back to front, but I actually think that's given me more of a real world kind of knowledge of where I want my research to take me. So I really want to do the research to be able to apply to conservation in the setting that I work in. So it's not just doing a project because there's funding for it and I want to do my PhD. It's more that I really see the need for that research within the environment that I am working in. Ethologists must have strong communication skills to be able to communicate the need for their research, to convince people to support it, to convince people to allow you to do the research, to convince someone to give you money to do the research. You know, strong communication skills are very important. It's definitely something that I struggle with, I think. I really get nervous talking to people about my research. This is one of the reasons why I'm actually doing this YouTube channel, just to get more comfortable in talking about things, because I know that I have to get better at it and I have to get more confident in it if I want to succeed. If you didn't realize by now, ethology is a very research intensive field, so you need to be able to work on your own a lot. You need to be able to have a lot of focus, and you really need to be able to look at the bigger picture as well, because research, especially in ethology, it can be very slow, and you're not getting as many quick wins. So you have to be able to focus on the bigger picture and what is going to come out of it in the end. I wouldn't say you need to be an animal lover. I just don't like that phrase for an ethologist. I would say that you need to have a strong interest, like a really strong interest in their natural behavior. Because the reason I don't like animal love, I don't know if that's fair. I don't not like animal lover. The reason I don't put animal lover with ethology really is animal lover always makes me think people wanting to touch and be kind of really much in the animal space, like they want to be part of an animal's life, whereas ethology is almost kind of the opposite. It's valuing them as their own species in their natural environment, and you don't want to impact on that at all. Ethologists basically should be invisible. Observing from a distance, I really don't feel like you should be getting in an animal's personal space at all. That definite line has been kind of merged for me in my job working in an elephant orphanage in an applied kind of setting, because although I'm a researcher, if we get a rescue, it is really all hands on deck. Makaliva, for example, female that we had rescued in 2017, I actually spent 53 hours with her when she was first rescued. And obviously that's very, very hands-on and with the elephant. I don't actually feel comfortable with that really. I definitely prefer to be in the background. I prefer the elephants not to know who I am. People often ask me, like, how can you bear being so close to the elephants and not touching them or not hugging them or want to make a bond with them? And I don't. I honestly don't. I feel like I'm always the one walking away from a cute baby. I don't necessarily think I've always been this way. I have been asked to take pictures with some of the orphans. I mean, someone will point out my picture on Instagram. My profile picture is with me with a small calf that I was very, very heavily involved with. Used to sleep with her, feed her, be with her all the time, and kind of most of those photos I'm kind of begrudged them at the time, but actually now I do look back on them and feel like we did have a connection. But that was 5 years ago or so, and I've definitely, after 5 years of working in this environment, I have stepped back even more, I think. If you think you maybe fall into the more animal lover camp, then maybe kind of a behaviorist career would be better for you than an ethologist. You also need to have a willingness to travel. You're likely going to be away from your family. For the last 10 years or so, I've actually been the other side of the world to my family, which can be difficult. I mean, it's exciting, but it's also a reality. So if you're a very, very homely homebody, you might have to think seriously about that, because there are maybe a lot of other opportunities in the behaviorist front, possibly closer to your home than ethology, which is generally in the animal's natural habitat, so it's a little bit more isolated perhaps. You might have no signal or little signal. There might be little comms with your family. It's just some things to think about really. But I've outlined the kind of skills that you need to be an ethologist, but the reality is if you're working for a conservation NGO or a small organization, you're likely going to have a lot more skills. So any transferable skills or soft skills like good organizational skills, being able to budget, communication again, social media, fundraising, all these things, they will actually serve you well in quite a lot of disciplines. So those are perhaps the things that you need to focus on when you're younger, as well as getting your degrees. To think of the other skills as well. So when choosing a career, people often think of money, and it probably is not going to come as any shock that ethologists don't make a lot of money. There might be exceptions depending on what organizations you work for. I only have experiences working for NGOs, so I'm not entirely sure about other settings, but if you're doing this for money, it's definitely not the career for you. Even with a master's, earlier on in my career, I was, paid very low. And for a year, actually, I had zero pay. And I didn't begrudge that at all at the time. I don't think there's any difference in my work ethic from now being paid a salary to when I wasn't being paid a salary. And I really, really understood that the people who I work for really would want to give me a salary, but it's just funding. Funding, it can be a big issue in small NGOs. And I really, really felt like my career path was worth kind of going through those periods of money struggles. And I'm happy to say, like, in the last couple of years, I'm definitely in a better situation than I have been in the past with money, because it was getting really difficult for a couple of years there. So all I would say is, like, keep going if you think that you're really struggling with money, and just try and think of the bigger picture, and just try and think of what you're sacrificing now for your future. Because I think there's so many times that I really felt like I should just kind of give up and get a real job. But I'm so glad I didn't. I'm really, really glad I didn't, and I'm really glad I kept going. So if anyone is also in that position at the moment, just keep going, keep going. It's not the job for you if you want a quick kind of win on your career. Like, it is a slow path. Qualifications aren't enough. You have to have a lot of experience. You have to do your time volunteering. You have to do your time interning. Like, it is not a quick career path. Incredibly competitive space. There are more and more jobs opening up all the time because there's more interest and more funding going into conservation organizations now more than ever. So there are actually more jobs coming up. So yeah, it is competitive, but don't give up. Keep going if that's what you want to do. If you're kind of unwilling to make the sacrifice in terms of money and kind of education, then there are a lot of kind of the behaviorist jobs. Possibly you can do more with a kind of diploma or like a college degree. So maybe that's something for you to consider instead. Hopefully I haven't put you off this job, which is not my intention. I'm actually going to do another video of the 5 best things about my job, 5 or 6, I'm not sure yet, and the 5 worst things about my job, which might help you even more. I don't want to be too negative at all because it's obviously an amazing job. But I just wanted to share like what the job is, what some of the realities actually are of doing this kind of job. So to round up, if you have a strong interest in animals in their natural setting, you're observant and you find yourself looking at beautiful photos of animals on Instagram and you wonder to yourself, you know, what are the reasons why they behave that way, and you find yourself wanting to know more and delve more into a certain aspect of an animal's life, then this might be the perfect career for you. So let me know if you have any thoughts or comments below. Are you interested in this as a career? Do you want to chat more? Then please just put a message below and share it with someone that you think will also be interested. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you get informed. So many flies. So you get informed of when I create more videos. Thank you very much.